How goes the night, boy?
The moon is down. I have not heard the clock.
And she goes down at 12.
I take 'tis later, sir.
Hold, take my sword. There's husbandry in heaven. Their candles are all out. Take thee that, too. The heavy summons lies like lead upon me, and yet I would not sleep. Merciful powers, restrain in me the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose. Give me my sword. Who's there?
A friend.
What, sir, not yet at rest? The king's abed. He hath been an unusual pleasure, and sent forth great largesse to your offices. This diamond he greets your wife withal, by the name of most kind hostess, and shut up in measureless content.
Being unprepared, our will became the servant to defect, which else should free have wrought.
All's well. I dreamt last night of the 3 weird sisters. To you they have showed some truth.
I think not of them. Yet when we can entreat an hour to serve, we would spend it in some words upon that business, if you would grant the time.
At your kind pleasure.
If you shall cleave to my consent when 'tis, it shall make honour for you.
So I lose none in seeking to augment it, but still keep my bosom franchised and allegiance clear, I shall be counselled.
Good repose the while.
Thanks, sir. The like to you.
Go bid thy mistress, when my drink is ready, she strike upon the bell. Get thee to bed. Is this a dagger which I see before me? The handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat of pressed brain? I see thee yet, in form as palpable as this which now I draw. Thou marshallest me the way that I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. Mine eyes are made the fools of the other senses, or else worth all the rest. I see thee still, and on thy blade in dudgeon gouts of blood, which was not so before. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. Now o'er the one half world nature seems dead, and wicked dreams abuse the curtained sleep. Witchcraft celebrates pale Hecate's offerings, and withered murder, alarmed by his sentinel, the wolf whose howls his watch. Thus, with his stealthy pace, with Tarquin's ravishing strides towards his design, moves like a ghost. Thou sure and firm-set earth, hear not my steps, which way they walk, for fear thy very stones prate of my whereabouts, and take the present horror from the time which now suits with it. Whiles I threat, he lives. Words to the heat of deeds too cold breath gives. I go, and it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell.
So what time of night do you think this is? The scene begins. Pardon? Bedtime? How late do you think it is? It's Banquo and Fleance. You think around midnight? Does it say it there? I have not heard the clock. The moon is down. So the moon goes down at 12, so it's got to be like 1 or 2. Fleance is awake. How come Banquo's awake? He says I wrote here he can't sleep, but what tells you there that he can't sleep? Yet I would not sleep, but why? And so he is heavy, but he can't sleep because, yes, we've got it there, cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose. They have a brief exchange, which is interesting, that Banquo confides in him that he dreamt of the witches last night. The two men have not spoken of the witches since that experience on the heath when they met the witches at the start of the play. So clearly, Banquo's had it on his mind too. But Macbeth straight up lies. He says, I think not of them. Which is a straight up lie. But when we do get time, I'd like to talk to you about it. Macbeth continues on his way. And then, of course, he rolls into one of his most famous soliloquies. If you want to remember, it's usually called the dagger soliloquy. You will, by the time you get to the external exam, you'll remember that line. I'll try it right now. Is this a dagger I see before me? The handle, what is it? The handle toward my hand. Is there a real dagger there or not? Hell no, he's just seeing it. It's a vision. He even calls it a fatal vision. He is unsure if what he's seeing is real. Is it a dagger of the mind, a false creation? Proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain. Maybe I'm a bit just hot, but it's interesting. It's set in Scotland. So that's interesting. If you're at the airport and you're a marshal, what are you doing? You're guiding the plane, right? So here, he's actually saying, not only is he seeing a dagger floating like this, that dagger is like floating and pointing him towards Duncan. He is wondering if his eyes are fools. It's actually the third or fourth time he's referred to murder as being the business. Here he calls it bloody business. Things aren't as they seem. Nature seems dead. The other unique thing about this night was that Fleance mentioned there's no stars either. The night is just black. So something is absolutely amiss. Okay, and finally he says, I go and it is done. He's fully committing to it there, and this bell invites him. But he says that it's a knell. Does anyone know what type of bell that is? Carmen got it. Legend, it is a funeral bell. You don't have a knell at your wedding. This is the bell for death. And he says that it summons thee. Look, Duncan, you know what? Good luck to you, Duncan. You're either tomorrow or in a few minutes, you're either going to go to heaven or hell. Absolutely. Well, he doesn't want Duncan to wake up, right? That bell's just gone. He wants Duncan to be nice and asleep because no one wants to kill a live person. It's much more difficult. He's saying, I hope Duncan doesn't hear that. Yeah, good question. Obviously, much easier to kill somebody who is totally vulnerable, sound asleep. Yeah. Final question. Can anyone remember the word for killing a king? It has its own special something side. Regicide. Thank you. Legends. What's she up to then?
That which hath made them drunk hath made me bold. What hath quenched them hath given me fire.
Way up.
Now the shriek, the fatal bounding which gives the sternest good night. He's about it. The doors are open, and the servants mock their charge with snores. Drug their cossets, and death and nature do contend about them, whether they live or die. Sir! Oh! Alack! I'm afraid they have awaked, and 'tis not done. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. Hark! I laid their daggers ready. He could not miss them. Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done it. My husband?
I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise?
I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry. Did not you speak?
When?
Now.
As I descended?
I.
Hark! Who lies in the second chamber?
Donalbain.
This is a sorry sight.
A foolish thought to say a sorry sight.
This one did laugh in his sleep, and one cried murder, that they did wake each other. I stood and heard them, but they did say their prayers and address them again to sleep.
There are two lodged together.
One cried, God bless us, and amen, the other, as they had seen me with these hangman's hands, listening their fear. I could not say amen when they did say, God bless us.
Consider it not so deeply.
But wherefore could not I pronounce amen? I had most need of blessing, and amen stuck in my throat.
These deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad.
Methought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more. Macbeth does murder sleep. The innocent sleep. Sleep that knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. The death of each day's life, sore labour's bath, balm of hurt minds, great nature's second course, chief nourisher in life's feast.
What do you mean?
It cried, sleep no more. To all the house, Glamis hath murdered sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more.
Who was it that thus cried? Why, worthy Thane, you do unbend your noble strength to think so brain-sickly of things. Go get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hand. Why did you bring these daggers from the place? They must lie there. Go, carry them and smear the sleepy grooms with blood.
I'll go no more. I am afraid to think what I have done. Look on it again, I dare not.
Infirm of purpose! Give me the daggers. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt.
Whence is that knocking? How is with me when every noise appalls me? What hands are here? Ah, they pluck out mine eyes. Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No. This my hand will rather the multitudinous seas incarnadine, making the green one red.
My hands are of your color, but I shame to wear a heart so white. I hear a knocking at the south entry. Retire we to our chamber. A little water clears us of this deed. How easy is it then? Your constancy hath left you unattended. Hark, more knocking. Get on your nightgown, lest occasion call us and show us to be watchers. Be not lost so poorly in your thoughts.
To know my deed, 'twere best not know myself. Wake Duncan with thy knocking. I would thou couldst.
Oh, gosh. Is he wishing that... Dude, I never really noticed that line. Wake Duncan with thy knocking. He wishes they could. So for Macbeth, you've got regret pretty much instantly. We will finish on this scene, guys. So just go to the top there. Whew, a lot has taken place. I actually read it the first time this year thinking, is Lady Macbeth, has she had some drinks as well? That which hath made them drunk hath made me bold. She's had a few drinks, because remember it has been a feast for the king. That hath quenched them has given me fire. So she's clear-headed, bold, with fire, real determination. The owl has shrieked, she says, the fatal bellman. It's a very creepy night. Macbeth is straight away spooked. Who's there? He says, did you speak? She's like, no, did you? Did you hear something? Get this, she is saying she legit would have done it. The only thing that stopped her from doing it herself was that Duncan resembled her father. Had he not resembled my dad, I would have done it. Lady Macbeth, she's cool to dash the brains of a baby out, but she draws the line at killing a man who looks like her dad. Maybe she's kind, maybe we've misread her. Macbeth here, I've done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise? She says she's only heard an owl scream and crickets cry. But did you speak? There is a voice that's being heard, yeah. Where is this word hark? Hark is usually just like, what's that? Yeah. Hark. The school bell goes. Yeah. Hark. Oh my god. I know, we'll have to look. Macbeth is already saying this is a sorry sight. So this tells us that he has some remorse. And how does Lady Macbeth then react to him saying it's a sorry sight? Excellent. I'll use yours exactly. Nice one, Sasha. Don't be dumb. What the hell is Macbeth hearing? Do you reckon it could be the witches? There is a voice. We know that wasn't the belief that the witches could shapeshift? They can kind of be was the witch the owl? Who the hell knows? It seems that the two chambermen did wake up a little bit when this was happening, because one of them said, God bless us, and the other one said, Amen, because they knew they were in a bad position. Macbeth says that he could not say the word Amen suddenly. He can't say it. He actually says here, it's stuck in his throat, and that is because he bloody well knows it's a sin. And she is saying, you mustn't think about it like this, or we're going to go crazy. We're going to go mad if you keep thinking about it like that. He mentions again this voice that is saying, sleep no more, and he goes on here about how beautiful sleep is. It's the balm of hurt minds. It's nature's second course. It's a nourisher. Guys, it's like 3 or 4 a.m. He hasn't slept and now he's killed someone. And this voice came through saying, sleep no more. Glamis hath murdered sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more. Whatever the voice is he's heard, it's creepy as hell. And she says, what happened to your noble strength? If you're thinking such brain sickly things. I'm just going back to make sure we know what we just had happen. Why was Lady Macbeth pissed at him? Well, we didn't cover this. He's such a doofus. He's got the 2 daggers that he used to kill Duncan, and he's still holding them. And she says, you idiot, why did you bring these daggers? They need to be back there. Go and cover the guards in blood so that it looks like they did it. Guys, this next scene is going to confuse you. It's a lot of rambling from the porter, who is the person who answers the door of the castle. It's meant to be some comedic relief. He talks about alcohol and how it's a double-edged thing. It can bring you joy, but it can also, make you pass out. It turns you on, but then you can't perform because you're too wasted. So please keep an ear out for this stuff. It's a confusing section. I think it's an attempt at comedic relief as the audience is now transferred through this scene to somebody arriving at the castle. It's got to be 4 or 5 a.m. now, surely. So let's continue.
Oh, here's a knocking indeed. If a man were porter of Hellgate, he should have turning the key. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there in the name of Beelzebub? Here's a farmer that hanged himself on the expectation of plenty. Come in time. Have napkins enough about you. Here, you'll sweat for it. Knock, knock. Who's there in the other devil's name? Faith, here's an equivocator that could swear in both the scales against either scale, who committed treason enough for God's sake, yet could not equivocate to heaven. Oh, come in, equivocator. Oh. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? Faith, here's an English tailor come hither for stealing out of a French hose. Come in, tailor. Here you may roast your goose. Knock, knock, never quiet. What are you? Oh, but this place is too cold for hell. I'll devil porter it no further. I had thought to have let in some of all professions that go the primrose way to the everlasting bonfire. Anon! Anon! I pray you, remember the porter. Was it so late, friend, ere you went to bed that you do lie so late? Faith, sir, we were caroused until the second cock. Oh. And drink, sir, is a great provoker of three things. What three things does drink especially provoke? Marry, sir, nose painting, sleep, and urine. Lechery, sir, it provokes and unprovokes. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. Therefore, much drink may be said to be an equivocator with lechery. It makes him and it mars him. It sets him on and it takes him off. It persuades him and disheartens him. Makes him stand to and not stand to. In conclusion, equivocates him in sleep and giving him the lie, leaves him. I believe drink gave thee the lie last night. That it did, sir, in the very throat on me. But I requited him for his lie, and I think, being too strong for him, though he took up my legs sometime, yet I made a shift to cast him. Is thy master stirring? Our knocking has awaked him. Here he comes.
Good morrow, noble sir.
Good morrow, both. Is the king stirring, worthy Thane? Not yet. He did command me to call timely on him. I've almost slipped the hour. I'll bring you to him. I know this is a joyful trouble to you, but yet 'tis one. The labor we delight in physics pain. This is the door. I'll make so bold to call, for 'tis my limited service.
Goes the king hence today?
He does. He did appoint so.
The night has been unruly. Where we lay, our chimneys were blown down. And as they say, lamentings heard of air. Strange screams of death. And prophesying, with accents terrible, of dire combustion and confused events new hatched to the woeful time. The obscure bird clamored the livelong night. Some say the earth was feverous and did shake.
'Twas a rough night.
My young remembrance cannot parallel a fellow to it.
Oh, horror! 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 Tongue nor heart cannot conceive nor name thee.
What's the matter?
What's the matter? Confusion now hath made his masterpiece. Most sacrilegious murder hath broke ope the Lord's anointed temple and stole thence the life of the building. What is to say, the life?
Mean you his majesty?
Approach the chamber and destroy your sight with a new Gorgon. Do not bid me speak. See, and then speak yourselves. Awake! Awake! Ring the alarm bell! Murder and treason! Beckwell and Donalbain, Malcolm! Awake! Shake off this downy sleep, death's counterfeit, and look on death itself. Up, up, and see the great doom's image. Malcolm! Banquo! As from your graves rise up and walk like sprites to countenance this horror. Ring the bell!
What's the business? this, that such a hideous trumpet calls to parley the sleepers of the house? Speak, speak!
Oh, gentle lady, 'tis not for you to hear what I can speak. The repetition in a woman's ear would murder as it fell. Oh, Banquo, our royal master's murdered.
Can I just pause momentarily, please, guys? The audience back then, just as I am doing right now, would just be like, are you kidding me? Like, this is shocking. This is offensive. Lady Macbeth has just walked in. What's the business? That's such a hideous trumpet call. She is faking it entirely. She knows exactly why they're freaked. She's behind it. But she is doing her part of the plan, which said we'll come in the morning and we'll act really freaked out. Talk about ironic that Macduff says, "Oh, gentle lady, it is not for you to hear." Meaning, this is too gross for you. So this is a little bit of a nod to the theme of gender, where Macduff says, "Oh, you can't hear this. You're a woman. It would upset you." And that's a really great use of dramatic irony, because we, the audience, know she can handle it. If anything, she's into it. She's an extremely violent person, and this is her doing. Any questions at this point? Because we'll go back in just a few moments. No, we're cool. This is a real chaotic scene now, because everybody is starting to figure out that the king is dead.
Woe, alas! What, in our house?
Too cruel anywhere. Dear Duff, I prithee, contradict thyself and say it is not so. Had I but died an hour before this chance, I had lived a blessed time. For from this instant there's nothing serious in mortality. All is but toys. Renown and grace is dead. The wine of life is drawn, and the mere lees is left this vault to brag of. What is amiss? You are, and do not note, the spring, the head, the fountain of your blood is stopped. The very source of it is stopped. Your royal father's murdered.
Oh. By whom? Those of his chamber, as it seemed, had done. Their hands and faces were all badged with blood, so were their daggers, which unwiped we found upon their pillows. They stared and were distracted. No man's life was to be trusted with them.
Oh, yet I do repent me of my fury that I did kill them. Wherefore did you so? Who can be wise, amazed, temperate, and furious, loyal and neutral in a moment? No man. The expedition of my violent love outrun the paws of reason. Here lay Duncan, his silver skin laced with his golden blood, and his gashed stabs looked like a breach in nature for ruin's wasteful entrance. There, the murderers, steeped in the colors of their trade, their daggers unmannerly breached with gore. Who could refrain that had a heart to love, and in that heart courage to make his love known?
Help me, Hans. Oh.
Look to the lady. Why do we hold our tongues that most may claim this argument for ours?
What should be spoken here, where our fate hid in an auger hole may rush and seize us. Let's away. Our tears are not yet brewed,
nor our strong sorrow upon the foot of motion.
Look to the lady. And when we have our naked frailties hid that suffer in exposure, let us meet and question this most bloody piece of work to know it further. Fears and scruples shake us. In the great hand of God I stand, and thence against the undivulged pretense I fight of treasonous malice.
And so do I. So all. Let's briefly put on manly readiness and meet in the hall together.
Well contented.
What will you do? Let's not consort with them. To show an unfelt sorrow is an office which the false man does easy. I'll to England.
To Ireland I. Our separated fortune shall keep us both the safer. Where we are, there's daggers in men's smiles. The near in blood, the nearer bloody.
This murderous shaft that shot hath not yet lighted, and our safest way is to avoid the aim. Therefore to horse, and let us not be dainty of leave taking, but shift away. There's warrant in that theft which steals itself when there's no mercy left.
Can someone tell us, just speak clearly, see if you get this. Some people might have picked this up. You've got your character map there. Is it Malcolm and Donalbain? What is their plan? What is their plan? They've just made it, speaking quietly to each other. You've got your character map there. This is Duncan's 2 sons. Ewan, do you want to have a guess on that one? No, because you're getting distracted by Harmon. So, yeah, it is fair enough. Gus, go for it. What is their plan? Nice and loud, please. Yeah, both of them to Ireland or what? Yes, and one's to England, one's to Ireland. Yep. Did you get that, Ryder? Why are they taking off? What's the purpose of taking off? Amazing answer. Yeah, they're very, very nervous now because they don't know who did it here. They're already calling BS about the 2 guards doing it because it just doesn't seem logical. So they're thinking, who the hell did it? So if you've got a pen, a really, really famous quote here, guys, is there's daggers in men's smiles. What might that mean? It's obviously not literal. There's not a literal dagger in your smile. So it's a metaphor, but what does it mean? If there's daggers in men's smiles. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And what is their true intention? Yeah, violence. Absolutely. So we have that theme developing. I know you guys can hear this we said it's double trust, it's false face, it's be the flower but be the serpent underneath it. Now we've got this idea of daggers in men's smiles. So the very men that are around you you're supposed to trust are also the ones that perhaps are wanting you dead. They decide to leave. Macbeth says, let's put on our manly readiness and meet in the hall. So I assume they're going to meet to try and find the murderer. Can I give Macbeth a 5 out of 5 for great acting here? Lady Macbeth is faking it beautifully. Yep. He did. So let's go to that. Macbeth was honest about one thing. Let's just go back here. Okay, so Lennox says, it seemed like the 2 guards did it. Their hands and faces were covered in blood, and so were their daggers, which unwiped we found upon their pillow. They stared and were distracted. No man's life was to be trusted with them. Macbeth says, look, I killed him. It was me. I killed the 2 guards. On that, I'm being honest. You got to remember, team, that in Shakespearean language, it's very funny. People often don't know this. This actually means why. It doesn't mean where. So when Juliet says, wherefore art thou Romeo, she's actually saying, why are you Romeo? Not where are you. She's saying, why are you Romeo? This sucks. Why is the guy I like someone I can't be with? In this case, Macduff is saying, why did you kill the guards? And he fudges this brilliant answer to say, I did it because of my courage for the country. Look, who can be wise, amazed, temperate and furious, loyal and neutral? I was just overcome, so I just killed. I hope you'll understand. Because, look, no man can deal with all that. And look, I had so much courage in my heart because I love Duncan and my country so much. Why are they still hunting for a murderer then? Why are they going to meet in the hall? Why aren't they just like, cool, case closed? You tell me. Because Macbeth's story is a bit off. So maybe that phrase, there's daggers in men's smiles, is quite accurate. That's a great question. I've got OTT here, meaning over the top. This is Macbeth coming in and saying, oh my God, there's nothing serious in mortality. All is but toys. Like everything's ruined now that Duncan is dead. To the keen observer, you would be like, that just seems a bit over the top. The wine of life is drawn and the mere lees is left in the vault. the lees is like if you drink a glass of red wine at the bottom, it looks a bit dirty. That's the sludgy bit that's left at the bottom of a barrel. Essentially, Macbeth is saying, there's nothing now without Duncan, which to me should be a giveaway. Excellent. So, Malcolm and Donalbain, I wish you the best of luck in England and Ireland.
Threescore and 10 I can remember well, within the volume of which time I have seen hours dreadful and things strange, but this sore night hath trifled former knowings.
Ah, good father, thou seest the heavens as troubled with man's act, threatens his bloody stage. By the clock, 'tis day, and yet dark night strangles the travelling lamp. Is't night's predominance, or the day's shame that darkness does the face of earth entomb, when living light should kiss it?
'Tis unnatural, even like the deed that's done. On Tuesday last, a falcon, towering in her pride of place, was by a mousing owl hawked at and killed.
And Duncan's horses, a thing most strange and certain, beauteous and swift, the minions of their race, turned wild in nature, broke their stalls, flung out, contending against obedience as they would make war with mankind.
'Tis said they eat each other.
They did so, to the amazement of mine eyes that looked upon't. Here comes the good Macduff. How goes the world, sir, now?
Why, see you not?
Is't known who did this more than bloody deed?
Those that Macbeth hath slain.
Alas the day. What good could they pretend?
They were suborned. Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's two sons, are stolen away and fled, which puts upon them suspicion of the deed.
Gainst nature still. Thriftless ambition that will raven up thine own life's means. Then 'tis most like the sovereignty will fall upon Macbeth.
He is already named and gone to Scone to be invested.
Where is Duncan's body?
Carried to Colmkill, the sacred storehouse of his predecessors and guardian of their bones.
Will you to Scone?
No, cousin, out to Fife.
Well, I will thither.
Well, may you see things well done there. Adieu, lest our old robes sit easier than our new.
Farewell, father.
God's benison go with you and with those that would make good of bad and friends of foes.
If you have the capacity, team, to jot a note down, I think it would be useful to just get the word unnatural written somewhere. There's a theme developing here of, remember the witches in Act 1, Scene 1, they said fair is foul and foul is fair. Things aren't as they should be. We know that the night that Duncan was murdered was starless and silent. The natural world in the play is starting to, it has often been so far, reflecting the events in the play. It is not natural to kill a king to become the king. It messes with the order of how things should be. So I just want to flash back real quick. I did make a note up here. It was when they said, yeah, it was a rough night. And this is Macbeth making small talk with Lennox while Macduff is going to see Duncan. So Macduff walks off to go and see Duncan and finds him dead. But out here, Macbeth makes small talk with Lennox. Lennox says here, things were weird last night. So when the murder was happening, the natural world was reflecting that chaos. How? Well, it was unruly. It's a freaking weird night. Our chimneys were blown down. We heard stuff in the air. It's like we heard strange screams of death. They heard weird birds all night. And we've got a reference here, guys, to the possibility of even an earthquake in the middle of the night. That's what they mean by the earth was feverish and did shake. So that is how messed up Macbeth's actions were. Macbeth, in a classic line, Yeah, it was a rough night. And we get it, wink, wink, that is dramatic irony. It sure was. The theme of unnatural nature has been further developed here, crew. Things are off and unnatural. The old man says that he saw a falcon was killed by an owl. That's not something common you would see, is it? He says, on Tuesday I saw a falcon, which is often a regal bird, isn't it? Is it the royal family will often have, is it falconry, where they fly down and land on the leather gloves? It's a really regal bird. And an owl has killed that. Even more messed up, crew. In this whole section, guys, the horses are turning on each other. They've gone bonkers. They broke out of their stalls, they flung out, they are going against obedience, and they're warring with each other. Old man turns it up a notch and says, actually, they're eating each other, the horses. And to the amazement of everybody's eyes. So things are absolutely messed up as a result of Macbeth committing this murder. The natural world is already crumbling.